the corner of every gaming publication office, in the basement of every disappointed mother, in the undisclosed location of me, there is a journalist, a blogger, a YouTuber, who of their own volition accept the puzzliest puzzle, the challengiest challenge, the motherfucking questiest quest, the search for the greatest games ever. Sometimes it's the top 10 or the top 100. Sometimes it's not games but music or films or breeds of cats. Sometimes they're subjective, and sometimes they're as close to the truth as you can get in such an ambiguous battle of taste versus quality. This is not one of those times. This is not an objective list of the greatest and most influential games ever. We already know what that list is gonna look like. It's been made 1,000 fucking times already. No, this is a list of my personal 25 favorite games ever.
Who the fuck are you, shitwad?
I'm NintenDopeman, and these are the Dopest Games.
What kind of name is that anyhow?
Number 25, Chrono Trigger. One of the great JRPGs created by the so-called dream team of such things. Travel through time and explore a world through the ages of its evolution, from prehistory to medieval times to the post-apocalyptic future, recruiting a motley crew of ragtag party members to save the world from the evil transdimensional Lavos. Chrono Trigger is remembered for several contributions to both its genre and the industry, such as multiple endings and side quests that feature plot and character development, but mostly for being a fun, challenging, and intriguing game. Number 24, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. After surviving the golden age of horror games and seeing what they were becoming, I was starting to think games would never scare me again. And then Amnesia came out and I was all like...
Don't tell Dad.
You wake up in a dank, sprawling castle with zero recollection of who, what, when, where, why, and how you are, tasked with recovering your memory and uncovering the mystery while avoiding the creepy-ass deformed monsters. The game's angle is a complete omission of combat. You can run, and you can hide, but you cannot fight. This frugal recipe makes for a paralyzing game and famously hysterical reaction videos. Number 23, Beyond Good and Evil. If you look at Skyrim, you think, oh, that's fantasy. You look at Resi, you think, oh, that's horror. Then you look at Beyond Good and Evil.
What the shit is this?
That's one of the biggest appeals of this title. There's nothing else like it. It's like a sci-fi political thriller with bits of fantasy. It's like if Wind Waker, 1984, Zootopia, and District 9 all met at an orgy and were like,
hey, how's about me and you go off and pick me out a new costume?
Go undercover as Jade the journalist and crack the global government's conspiracy wide open by photologging all the exotic wildlife. In a game whose connection to Nietzsche's treatise on the inconsequentialities of ethics I'm still trying to decipher. This is one of gaming's best cult classics, with an audience that flourished over the years. And the long-awaited sequel looks so ambitious it might break the mainstream. Number 22, The Sims 3. This is what I play to chill out. Sometimes I do play the actual game in life mode, but my favorite thing to do in this game is just build shit. I had no idea how good I was at interior decorating until I played this game. Be and do what you want in the virtual cousin of the game of life. Number 21, Resident Evil. Only the most hardcore veterans can still revisit the original game, but for the rest of us, it's a relic afflicted with bad controls and worse voice acting.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Why, that's the most diabolical.
Thankfully, the remake is so faithful and so polished that it makes it the scariest entry in the series. Survive the zombie-infested halls of Umbrella's secret lair as Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine as they blow the lid off the corporation's malicious endeavors. In the mother of all survival horror the way it was meant to be experienced.
A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich. Acceptable.
Number 20, Grim Fandango. This is truly a product of its time. You look at this and think, oh, this is a 90s computer game. Blocky models, pre-rendered graphics, innocuous, arduous puzzles.
It's just some sort of weird, low-resolution, blocky universe.
Yes, the good old adventure game. Not action-adventure, just adventure. It's a very distinct genre that has since heavily declined but still enjoyed by a very niche division of gamers, most of whom grew up during its prime. But a fistful of titles remain classics, and Grim Fandango is my pick of that litter. The gameplay can be considered dated, but it's still fun, and at least it's not point and click, but the plot is what makes it all worth it. This has one of the coolest stories in and out of video games. It blends film noir with ancient Aztec beliefs on the afterlife to spin the tale of Manny Calavera, a travel agent who ferries the departed across the land of the dead. Grim Fandango is like Dia de los Muertos, the game.
Starring
Humphrey Bogart.
Man, I deserve to work for Honest Game Trailers.
I am a legend.
Number 19. Fez. No, Fez.
What, are you stupid?
No, damn it, Fez!
I mean, of course, yeah, good choice, yeah.
Of all the delightful and creative indie games out there, this is one of my favorites. Fez is amazing. It's like if Ninty actually made their own Nindy. Gomez, who lives in the second dimension, receives a mystical Fez hat that begifts him access to the third dimension. Dude, the whole 3D quadruple perspective of a 2D world is like a revelation of side-scrolling that I cannot believe wasn't thought of before. Miyamoto would look at this game and be like, how the fuck did I not think of this? The 5-year development cycle was troubled with delays, drama, and publicity, but you can seriously sense all that blood, sweat, and tears in this game. I love Fez.
I love you the most!
Number 18. Spyro, Year of the Dragon. I was tempted to count the entire Reignited trilogy, but if it never came out, then the third one would have claimed this spot in all its PS1 glory. Whereas Crash felt like a 3D Donkey Kong Country, Spyro was like the Mario 64 of the PlayStation. Playing as a cute little dragon running around cartoony worlds collecting colorful gems and eggs and spitting fire at everything that moved was so much fun as a kid, and playing it as an adult over 20 years later, not a shred of that magic is gone. If anything, these gorgeous graphics just make it even better. Number 17. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Eternal Darkness is debatably the most unique survival horror game ever. This thing is just a series of mindfucks, full of fourth wall breaking meta moments. Play as several characters from several time periods in several locations to fend off a singular threat to humanity, in a game so good I don't want to say anything outside of its own video. Number 16. Okami. You ever play a game and think, man, this is super Japanese? You will never say that about any other game after playing Okami. Every shred of this masterpiece is based on actual Japanese folktales and mythology. Revel in the role of Amaterasu, a sun god in the form of a white wolf, to save the land of Nippon from the devil beast Hirachi. Explore and restore a massive, attractive, brilliantly designed world, dense with rich content and artwork as functional as it is gorgeous. Oh my dog, this game is fun. There's a reason it's known as the Zelda of the PS2.
Number 15. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This was a tough one. Ultimate is objectively the best entry, and I can say that having only played a few days of it. Master Sakurai has truly outdone himself, and any day before the year of our Lord 2018, Melee would have claimed the number 15 spot in my heart. It's the Smash of my youth, and my generation, not counting the first one. It may no longer be the best one, but it's still my favorite, right? Yes, I know that's awesome.
Show me what you got.
Colors weave into a spire.
I know, but Jesus fucking Christ. Ultimate is so grand, so polished, and so packed with fan service that it does what any superior sequel must do: overpower nostalgia. And yet, it takes it even one step further. It harnesses nostalgia and expands on it in ways only our inner child could dream of and make YouTube videos about. All the fighters, all the stages, all the music, all the details, all the options, and all the shameless fan service. Super Smash Bros., as I've said before, is the ultimate video game. And Ultimate truly is the ultimate entry.
I like what you got. Good job.
Number 14. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. The best Mario game not made by Nintendo, and the best story of any Mario game, period. Embark on an epic RPG filled with exotic characters and settings to hunt for the treasure of an ancient civilization, and save the princess from spooky Orwellian moon people? What? Thousand-Year Door was so good that they couldn't even follow it up with a proper sequel. We may or may not ever get a true Paper Mario 3, but at least the first 2.5 possess infinite replay value, especially this one. Number 13. Earthbound. I have a message for the 140,000 people who got to play Earthbound as kids. You are the luckiest social happening since the hippies. I wish I could have experienced this game as a child.
Mother of Christ.
It's more than a game, it's fucking transcendental. Settle in the role of Ness and friends to save all existence from Gygus, the incomprehensible, extraterrestrial, literal embodiment of bad vibes.
Negative vibes, negative vibes.
There is so much to do in and out of one of the longest adventures ever designed, and despite the familiarity of being set in the modern world instead of a fantasy world, it still gets more surreal and abstract and fucking weird than any JRPG ever made. And beneath the cute exterior looms the bleak undertone of philosophical themes, giving everything from Zelda to the Talos Principle a run for their existential money. There is so much symbolism going on in this game that people could write thesis papers on it the way they're written about South Park. Fun fact, these were two of the original players. The story, the themes, the imagery, the writing, the music, and the gameplay all coalesce into a work of art that makes me fucking weep. The Dopeman is spellbound by Earthbound.
A famous explorer once said
Number 12. Tomb Raider.
that the extraordinary is in what we do, not who we are.
Tomb Raider has remained an icon over 3 stylistic periods. As a mascot of video games, Lara Croft is second only to Mario. She used to be third, but you know.
Hey.
I nearly gave this spot to Legends or Anniversary, but the reboots are honestly the best ones. Maybe not the most important or influential, but the best. Tomb Raider games were always divided into levels, each one an ancient ruin full of secrets and puzzles and enemies. The reboot repurposes these tombs as dungeons scattered throughout the series' first open world environment. A massive island stuffed with functional collectibles, and as if those weren't enough layers, a heavy emphasis on survival was placed in the mechanical forms of visceral combat, stealth, skill trees, scavenging, crafting. Fuck! Return to the badass boots and booty shorts of British archaeologist Lara Croft in this dramatic origin story that takes everything you loved about Tomb Raider and just it full of Zelda and The Last of Us and just it right in. I still love the classics, but this new series feels like what Tomb Raider was always meant to be. Number 11. Pokemon Crystal. Gotta have at least one Pokemon game, and for me it's no contest. It would have been hard to choose between this or Yellow, but Gen 2 practically includes Gen 1 in the post-game, so that settles it. Chunks of my childhood and segments of adulthood are boiled down to these marvelous few megabytes. Shrink down to a few pixels and catch them all in the game after the game that started it all. Those formative years of Pokemon are so ingrained in the fibers of my being that I genuinely prefer the originals to the remakes.
If the Beatles went back and updated the White Album every few years, what would we have now?
Number 10. Hollow Knight. You ever start a game and within minutes think, well, this is my new favorite game fucking ever? That's how I felt about Hollow Knight just upon watching the trailer. But then I caught myself like, whoa, slow down, man, you don't know that yet. Sure, it's a monstrous mashup of Metroid and Dark Souls. Sure, it's like Tim Burton and the Hornets from Donkey Kong had relations
That are
sexual in nature?
And produce some kind of adorable gothic insect baby? Sure, it's a masterpiece, but you don't know that yet. You haven't played it yet. So just wait before you jump to such bold assumptions that you already love it more than games you've played your whole life. And I was like, yeah, you're right, me. I'll wait to play it and see if I even like it. Who knows? I might actually hate it. Number 9. The Last of Us. Once in a blue moon, a film comes out and has such an impact that it becomes an event. Star Wars, Titanic, Borat.
Great success.
Likewise, certain video games have achieved such a status. Super Mario Bros., Grand Theft Auto 3, The Last of Us. Jesus pussy-licking Christ. This game took the things that ruined survival horror and made a masterpiece out of them. It's not the scariest game out there, but it's got a gripping story, realistic presentation, and is an absolute blast to play. Over and over and over again. If you have yet to witness zombies, bandits, and the end of the world through the weathered eyes of Joel and Ellie, well then...
You're nothing, and you're never gonna be nothing!
Number 8. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. Probably my second most played game ever, Donkey Kong Country 2 is the best Donkey Kong game. I have vivid memories of unboxing my Super Nintendo along with this game and Mario All-Stars. Jesus Christ. I poured so many hours into this. I think it was the first game I ever beat. Sticker Brush Symphony was one of the first times I remember being moved by a piece of music. It was weird not to pick DK64 because I almost always prefer 3D to 2D. Hey. But this is the better game, and it's one of my annual playthroughs. After a humiliating defeat in the original, K. Rool and the Kremlings regroup to kidnap DK, and it's up to Diddy and his girl Dixie to save him and destroy their neighboring island. In a platforming masterpiece packed to the gills with goodies, baddies, and a charming pirate motif. Number 7. Luigi's Mansion. Some nights, I'll just feel like playing this game and I'll beat the whole thing in a few hours, sucking up every single ghost and piece of treasure. I've played it more times than I can remember, but it never gets old. I mean, it's a Nintendo horror game, of course I'm gonna fucking love it. Jump into Luigi's petrified shoes in this ghost-busting romp to save Mario from King Boo and all the menacing spirits the Mushroom Kingdom has to offer. Number 6. Super Mario Odyssey. A couple years ago, if I wanted to get my fill of 3D Mario goodness, Sunshine would have claimed this spot, and while I'm sure I'll visit Sunny Isle Delfino and the canvas-adorned walls of Peach's castle several more times in my life, I can no longer imagine traveling there before I travel literally everywhere else. Right when I accepted that 3D Mario was dead and buried, they smacked me down with the new champion. Huge kingdoms, 1,000 moons, costumes, coins, and the capture mechanic. Trot the globe to save Peach from an arranged marriage in the best, biggest, most inventive game to ever star the icon of the industry. I will never forget the pure jubilation I felt during the Switch presentation when Mario emerged from a manhole, oh, cause he's a plumber, and ran around a modern city. I was like, what is this, Splatoon? Oh shit! I will never forget the sheer excitement I felt at E3 when he popped out of that dinosaur, oh, cause I like Yoshi, and proceeded to pop into everything else. I was like, what is this, Monster Hunter? Oh shit! I'll never forget Sunshiner 64 either, but I think I'll always remember Odyssey first. Number 5. Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly. I love Fatal Frame, so this was another tough choice. The first one is the premier haunted house game, but the sequel is just bigger, better, and scarier. Often dubbed the scariest video game of all time, Crimson Butterfly puts you in control of Mio, as she and her twin sister Mayu try to escape a lost village and its resident poltergeists with nothing but a supernatural camera. This game and the greater series is a major highlight in survival horror. Number 4. Super Metroid. Another tough choice between this and Prime, but Super Metroid takes the cake. This is as perfect as video games can get. The gameplay is increasingly fun. Like a great film, there is never a boring moment. The narrative is epic yet minimalist, the moody music matches the dreadful environments, the bosses are series icons, and the planet of Zebes has like the greatest level design of any video game. The way it teaches you how to play and low-key sends you on a linear path in a non-linear world where everything unravels and connects like a colossal puzzle. And the colorful palette of set pieces and backgrounds makes each room unique enough that I don't even need the map very often. And all the moves and weapons and power-ups make this girl one of the most joyful avatars to control. Become Samus Aran and eliminate the Metroid menace in the most underrated landmark of the interactive arts. Number 3. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Finally, an easy decision. My favorite Grand Theft Auto. Jesus Christ. When I just want to fuck around and drive fast and shoot cops, I play GTA 5. But when I want to seriously play through the whole story, complete every side quest, max every stat, and collect every ibble, I play SA. The cornucopia of side quests remains the densest in the series, from criminal activity to honest blue-collar work to basic living needs. Guide Carl Johnson through a G-Funk opera in a story as big and ambitious as the world it's set in, where you start out with nothing and end up with everything. Number 2. Wait, hold it, cut, press pause. Okay, confession time. This is not really my list of favorite games. I mean, it is, but I only allowed one game per series. Look, otherwise it would be nothing but Nintendo and survival horror up in here. I mean, let's face it, I personally prefer DK64, Metroid Prime, and most Tomb Raiders way more than Chrono Trigger or The Sims. So you could consider the number 8 spot the whole DK series. 5 is all of Fatal Frame, and I get to do this after all.
Yay, you're letting me be myself.
The silver medal goes to Zelda. But if you forced me to pick one, yeah, I'm one of those guys. Number 2. The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Majora is not the best Zelda game, it's not the biggest, it's not even the most fun, but it's my fave. The tone, the atmosphere, the story, the themes, the characters, the settings, the music, the dungeons, the masks, the 3-day cycle, the bomber's notebook. Jesus golden goddess Christ. It's famously considered the darkest title in the whole franchise. It's like a Zelda horror game, of course it's my fucking favorite. A direct sequel to the most legendary entry. Become the hero of time one more time, and intimately relive the same few days to stave and save the world from an inevitable doom. In a game about death and friendship from the series that defined, redefined, and re-redefined the open world action-adventure game. Majora is my favorite Zelda title, and my second favorite game overall.
Alright, boys and girls, ladies and gents, folks and fucks, this is it.
Drum roll.
The dopest video game of all time is
A masterpiece. Oh, look at the graphics on that. Look at the graphics on that game.
In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill.
Number 1. Silent Hill. Jesus Christ. Christ. My favorite game ever. Well, I'm gonna cheat here and do something most true followers of the Order would totally understand and just include the first 4 games in this spot.
Cheaters! You've been cheating!
Right, shut up. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. That's how I'm doing it. Look, I picked a Zelda and I picked a Fatal Frame, but I'm drawing the line here. But, gun to my head, I guess 3. And then 2. And then 1 and then 4. But I'm not gonna do that. The first 4 games are my favorite game ever, and that's that.
I have spoken!
The main character of this series is the setting itself. The desolate, foggy, dark, mysterious, haunted lakeside resort of Silent Hill. A small American ghost town with a dark past and a darker present. And a future so dark it doesn't even exist.
You bastard.
Tremble in its symbolic atmosphere and solve its foreboding mysteries through the eyes of everyman on action adventures dripping with horror like a blood-soaked mannequin. Seriously, I play these games every Halloween and they still get to me. They're so wait. Silent Hill is the cardinal survival horror series. It climaxed the Golden Age by usurping the cheesy B-movie visceral action found in its predecessors in favor of a dense, immersive, disturbing atmosphere that truly scared gamers more than anything before, and in some opinions, anything after. It contributed so much to the genre. Real-time graphics, cinematic direction, superlative scenarios, psychological art house J-horror, and thick, nasty, oppressive, yet somehow beautiful atmospheres. To me, it is the crown jewel of all things horror. I've read enough literature and seen enough films and played enough games to say that Silent Hill is the scariest piece in the multimedia compendium of horror, one of the finest achievements of the gaming industry, and one of the greatest works of art ever produced by mankind, fucking period. Boom.
Boom.
The Dopest Games. Of all the lists I'm gonna make for this series, this one is the most subject to change in the future. I have a huge backlog.
That's what she said. Or he said.
That includes small stuff like Costume Quest and Stardew Valley. I really want to start that one. To big stuff like Shenmue and Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. I never played a Kojima game. I know, I suck. I mean, dude, Psychonauts, Killer 7, Life is Strange, fucking Skyrim. There are still a lot of games I haven't played yet. So in a few years, I might update this video with some changes. But some things. Some things will never change.
Good night, everybody.